Okay, so here's a thought. What if the greatest breakthroughs in science, art, innovation, what if they aren't really about forcing new ideas? What if it's more about uncovering truths that are already kind of out there? We usually chase innovation so hard, right?
Mhm.
Speed, disruption being dominant. But maybe there's this quieter, maybe more profound alternative just waiting. Hmm. Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're plunging into something I find really fascinating. The evolutionary alignment framework. It's more than just concepts, isn't it? It feels like a mindset shift. It really challenges how we normally think about genius, about discovery, suggesting we move from, trying to control everything to finding this deep congruence with the world.
That's exactly right. And it's not just abstract theory, It's a practical approach, really. It suggests that real innovation, the deep stuff, it emerges when we manage to align ourselves with these fundamental truths. The ones governing life, the cosmos itself. Think about it, Einstein's thought experiments. They felt like revelations, didn't they? Or Ramanujan, with his equations, he said, came from a divine source. Even Da Vinci, looking so closely at nature, biomimicry. These breakthroughs, they often feel less like something engineered from scratch and more like something revealed, like it flowed through them.
Yeah.
And this deep dive, well, we're going to try and unpack how we might access these universal revelations ourselves.
Okay, let's unpack this then.
Yeah.
Because if the big breakthroughs aren't forced, what does it really mean to shift gears? To go from controlling outcomes to, I guess, deeply listening to nature?
Mhm.
So the core message, right, is that breakthroughs get revealed when we stop trying to micromanage every single outcome and start listening, really listening to nature. The best ideas, the framework suggests, emerge when we manage to set our ego aside a bit and just follow the patterns already playing out in the world. It's a recalibration, really, moving from forcing change to discovering through resonance.
Precisely. And you see this, well, this illusion of control almost everywhere in nearly every field. It's this deep human urge, isn't it, to bend things to our will, impose our schedule.
Yeah, definitely.
But look at nature. It doesn't really respond well to pressure, does it? It responds to patience, to deep understanding. So innovation through alignment, it means understanding systems so well that you learn to move with their current. You don't fight it. Like a really skilled sailor, they don't battle the wind, right? They adjust their sails to harness its power.
That sounds almost passive, though.
Hmm.
But innovation, it often feels like this intense struggle, pushing hard against the limits. So what does this actually mean for you listening right now if you're trying to create something new? Does it mean you just give up your agency? Just wait around?
Oh, not at all. It's absolutely not about surrendering agency. It's more like refining it, sharpening it, actually. True agency in this view isn't about forcing your will onto the world. It's about shaping yourself into, let's call it an antenna tuned to the world's underlying frequency.
An antenna. I like that.
Yeah. Think of a master musician. They aren't just hitting notes, they're listening, truly listening to the harmony, maybe the harmony of the universe, and letting the music flow through them. Aligned creators, they aren't necessarily louder, they're clearer, more precise. See, control often blinds us because we're just chasing results, sometimes blindly.
Fine.
Alignment, though, it prioritizes understanding first, deep immersion, real presence. And what comes out of that space, well, it's often much more powerful, more organic than anything we could have tried to force.
That idea of agency being about tuning yourself, not imposing,
Yeah.
that really does shift things. It makes creativity and inquiry feel less like disruption and more like acts of resonance, as the framework puts it. So those revolutionary ideas in science and art, maybe they aren't about tearing down. Maybe they're about illuminating what was always there, just waiting for someone ready to see it. Makes you wonder what we've missed, eh?
Exactly. And to understand this more deeply, the framework rests on three, let's say, foundational pillars: science, art, and evolution. Now, we usually see these as separate, right? Different departments in a university, different ways of thinking, but they are, in fact, deeply connected. Each one gives us a unique way to pursue or express or even embody truth.
Okay, so break those down for us. Science, art, evolution.
Sure. So science, that's our methodical quest for truth. It's based on evidence, repeatability. It builds carefully through observations, spotting patterns, trying to uncover the laws already embedded in reality.
Right, a systematic approach.
Then there's art. Art is truth expressed differently through intuition, resonance, deep feeling. It often reveals things science struggles to measure, doesn't it? The inner world, universal emotions.
The intangible stuff.
Exactly. And then evolution. This is the big one. the foundational law of change governing all life, all complex systems. It works slowly, with no ego, no grand plan, just adaptation, driven by what works. And by watching how evolution works, its non-resistance, its constant fine-tuning, we learn something profound about letting go of rigid control and flowing with life's currents. We learn that relentless adaptation is progress.
So what links them all is this deep relationship with truth. Science seeks it, art reflects it, evolution is it, in a way. And human genius, then, comes from tuning into these currents, not just inventing stuff out of thin air.
Yeah.
Okay, this raises a big question, though. How do we actually do that? How do we unite these forces, science, art, evolution, in our own work, our own lives? What are the practical disciplines here?
Right. If evolution is the underlying logic, then the active methods, the how-to, are what the framework calls acceptance, discipline, and observation. And these aren't passive states, not at all. They're active practices. Think of them as internal technologies we need to cultivate.
Internal technologies.
Yeah.
Okay. Tell me about acceptance first.
Acceptance, well, it's about letting go of that tight, ego-driven control, that resistance we have. It means accepting complexity, not giving up, but seeing it clearly. That clarity, that accurate perception, that's the goal. It's like finding that inner silence that often comes just before a real insight, when your mind stops fighting what is and just opens up.
Okay, that makes sense. And discipline. That sounds a bit more conventional.
It is, but maybe not in the way we usually think. It's about consistency, yes, but for coherence. It's about sharpening your perception, developing mastery. But it's not rigid rules for the sake of rules. It's about building a structure for flow, for spontaneity. Think of, say, a martial artist practicing their forms every single day. That discipline isn't to make them stiff, it's to free them up so they can move effortlessly, intuitively, when it matters.
Right. The structure enables freedom
Okay.
and observation.
Observation is the art of seeing without getting in the way, without your own biases and judgments clouding things. It's sensing with real presence, attention, humility. It requires what you might call cognitive emptiness. Not a blank mind, but a mind cleared of assumptions, ready to just absorb information cleanly, like wiping a slate clean. It is, in a way, the evolutionary act itself, taking in data without prejudice.
Wow. And it feels like these three, acceptance, discipline, observation, they must work together, right?
Oh.
Like a loop.
Exactly. It's a self-reinforcing loop. Acceptance clears the way for better observation. Discipline keeps you observing consistently. Observation feeds back into your acceptance of what you're seeing.
And it mirrors evolution, too. Like you said, evolution doesn't resist reality. It adapts through long-term discipline, you could say, and constant feedback loop.
Precisely. And they aren't steps you do in order. They're states of mind capacities you cultivate all at the same time.
These sound like really profound practices, but also, honestly, pretty challenging in our world, which is all about speed, results, right now.
Mm.
How do you stop acceptance just becoming, resignation, or discipline turning into rigid inflexibility? Where is that line?
That's a really crucial point. The difference, I think, lies in the intention behind it. Acceptance isn't passive resignation. It's active non-resistance. It's a willingness to engage with reality exactly as it is. And paradoxically, that gives you a much clearer view so you can act more effectively.
Ah, okay. So it empowers action, doesn't block it.
Right. In discipline, it's not about being rigid. It's about building a reliable container, a sturdy vessel for those spontaneous insights to land in. It's the consistent practice that frees your conscious mind from the basics, allowing deeper stuff to emerge. So it's always a dynamic balance, constantly adjusted through humble observation.
That clarifies it a lot. And with that deeper understanding, it's really interesting how the framework then suggests we can maybe intentionally tap into something deeper than conscious thought, the subconscious.
Yes, exactly. Think about those great discoveries again. They often feel less like inventing something totally new and more like remembering something the universe already knew, maybe, like pure revelations.
Mm-hmm.
Einstein talking about a sense of beauty and harmony guiding him, Ramanujan crediting a divine source. These weren't just random flashes. These people combined intense intellectual rigor with a profound kind of surrender to something beyond their deliberate thinking.
So it's not magic then?
No, not mysticism or magic. The framework sees it as an evolved cognitive state, a capacity you cultivate. When the mind is quieter because of acceptance, when it's honed by discipline and opened up by observation, it seems to become permeable.
Yeah.
Permeable to patterns or insights that are too complex or subtle for our normal conscious processing. It's like the evolutionary subconscious is at work, seeing connections before we can articulate them, knowing things before we can explain why. It's like your brain is finally quiet enough to actually hear the subtle signals it's been picking up all along.
And this has real practical implications for you, the listener. It suggests you can actually design your environments, your mental space, and your physical space to support this, to encourage things like extended focus, sensory richness, maybe more solitude, even embracing slowness sometimes.
Yeah.
It means maybe seeing boredom not as something to escape, but as fertile ground. Trusting those insights that pop up when you're not trying so hard. I know for me, the best ideas often come when I'm doing something completely unrelated, like, folding laundry or just walking outside.
That's very common, and it highlights that this framework isn't just nice philosophy. It's intended as a practical architecture for change. It's surprisingly versatile across different fields. It really transforms how we might approach them.
Okay, so let's look at some examples. How did this apply in, say, science?
Well, in science and research, it encourages going deeper. More integrative thinking, longer-term inquiry, building bridges between disciplines instead of staying in silos. It puts the emphasis on uncovering those slow truths, the really fundamental stuff, rather than just publishing quickly. Imagine maybe a team of physicists and biologists collaborating for years, just observing a complex ecosystem, not to prove a specific hypothesis right away, but just to deeply understand its emergent behaviors.
Mm-hmm.
Patient observation. That kind of deep patient work might reveal some underlying principle, maybe even a new law of nature that a typical short-term hypothesis-driven study would completely miss.
Okay, what about business? That seems like the opposite of slow and patient sometimes.
It often is, but this offers an alternative. For business and entrepreneurship, it pushes towards more organic growth, sensing what's needed rather than trying to control the market. Think about a product team. Instead of locking themselves in a room to brainstorm features, what if they spent weeks just quietly observing, watching how people naturally use their product or even competitors' products, noticing the little frictions, the unspoken desires?
Yeah, the things people don't even know they want yet.
Exactly. That deep, quiet observation often reveals a truly innovative solution or a future need that a frantic brainstorming session would never uncover. It becomes about revealing what the market truly wants rather than forcing your existing idea onto it.
Okay, that makes sense. How about education?
In education, it points towards more experiential, intuitive learning, treating students not just as vessels to fill with facts, but as evolving minds. Teachers become more like facilitators of alignment, creating environments of real curiosity. Learning happens through interaction with the world.
Nice. And art?
For art and design, it encourages depth over just surface display. Resonance over chasing novelty. Creations that feel, well, inevitable. Like they always existed and the artist just helped bring them forth. Co-expressions with the world, not just personal statements at the world.
And for individuals, personal development.
Oh, hugely. For personal development, it's a path away from burnout, isn't it? It invites you to slow down, observe yourself honestly, grow more organically with your own nature, recognizing that real sustainable change comes from gentle, consistent alignment, not from forcing yourself.
That feels very relevant today.
It is. And even in governance and policy, imagine leadership viewed as stewardship.
Yeah.
Policymaking becoming more iterative, adaptive, laws evolving more like ecosystems responding to real-world feedback, not just top-down dictates.
So really, across the board, wherever you apply it, the idea is it replaces that constant anxiety with awareness, noise with clarity, pressure with precision. And it does it without demanding constant disruption, just realignment.
Okay, so if we try to wrap this up, bring it all together. The core idea of this evolutionary alignment framework, it sounds like it boils down to align, evolve, discover. Is that fair?
I think that captures it beautifully. Align, evolve, discover.
And the implication is that the next really big breakthroughs, they won't come from pushing boundaries harder, but maybe from dissolving them, because the universe isn't like hiding its secrets from us.
Yeah.
We're just maybe not tuned in properly yet, not aligned to actually hear them.
Exactly. And that leads to a final thought, perhaps. The future might truly belong not to those who manage to control more and more, but to those who learn to resonate more deeply. Think about the biggest problems we face: ecological crises, technological divides, mental health struggles. So many of them, at their root, seem to be problems of misalignment, don't they?
Misalignment with nature's laws, misalignment with our own deeper potential, misalignment with the natural pace of things, with time itself.
So the invitation here, for everyone listening, is maybe to consider what it could mean for you to become evolution itself, in a way, by consciously choosing to slow down sometimes, pay closer attention, create with more care. Because the real innovation, maybe, at the end of the day, isn't just about what we build, but about who we become while we're By consciously choosing to slow down sometimes, pay closer attention, create with more care. Because the real innovation, maybe at the end of the day, isn't just about what we build, but about who we become while we're building it.